Well, everyone, today's the day. This swarm moved in 5 days ago as of today. And if you saw my previous video, you know I like to let my swarms establish themselves first. In other words, give that queen time to start laying eggs, because I know once she started laying eggs that the swarm is not going to leave. I've moved a swarm too soon in the past and they just swarmed yet again. But once they've got brood in there, it's like glue. It's going to make the bees stick around and stay in my equipment. So I'm going to show you the tips and tricks of transferring this colony into my own equipment and why it's going to work by transferring them from here to a spot right down here on the ground before I find their eventual location where I'm going to, set them down. So stick around. Welcome back to the Hive Doctor, everyone. So the first thing I've got to do before I even take this down is to set up my bottom board, my deep hive body, and a hive cover where I'm going to put them into. And I'm thinking I'm going to put it just right around inside the corner of this barn. They'll have a little bit of roof cover. They'll have some shade. We don't have any rain coming up, but it would also guard them from that. But it's also a great flat workspace right here on the ground. On this side, it would work too, but I've got tufts of grass that would make my setup a little bit uneven. So I'm just going to do it where it's easiest. And so that's the first thing I do before I ever bring the swarm trap down, is make sure I've already got all the equipment that they're going into ready, because I find that works best for me. So I'm gonna go get that stuff right now. I'm gonna put this quilting box down as my base, bottom board on top of that, and deep hive body, top hive cover off to the side. I'm gonna square this up, and then I'm gonna show you what kind of frames I'm gonna be using in here and why. Okay, so I've already got 5 frames up in the swarm trap, so that means I only need 5 more frames. So I'm going to pick the best ones that I have. This is a little bit of wax moth damage, a little bit brittle, but this is a perfect opportunity with a swarm, especially during a flow, to get this stuff cleaned up, freshened up, and built back out like new once again. So I'm going to put that one right here. I've got a bare frame, nice and clean, never been drawn on before. I'm going to put that on the outside. What have we got here? Yuck. This is a nice frame of old comb, but it's very much intact, hardy. I'm gonna, here's a beeswax foundation frame. No plastic insert in this. Also a great frame for a swarm. So I'm going to line these up out here. This means I need one more frame. And I'm going to choose this as my candidate. So on this side we've got, older comb. This is still comb here. It's just lighter in color, not as easy to see. You can see there it rises up a little bit. The bees will draw that back out. And this side, of course, has better comb. One of the things I've noticed when getting bees to draw comb, if I'm going to put this frame on this side of the box, they'll use this side more quickly because it's mostly drawn out. But if I want them to fix this side first, then I'll put this on the inside like so to make them work that first. Otherwise, I would do this so they'd move into it more quickly. But they've already started establishing themselves in the frames in the swarm trap, so I'm going to do it this way just because, and have them start to fix that frame up more quickly while we still have resources coming in for the flow. All right, so I'm going to take one frame out to give myself some room to work. Move this in. Now I've got my space for 5 frames. Let's go ahead and take this swarm trap down. Now I don't like to leave these up for more than 7 days because they can get really heavy. Swarms come with a lot of honey in their bellies that they offload into the comb. They use to build comb. And I don't want to keep them in here so long that they start to build comb on the bottom side of the frames that are in there. Hopefully they haven't done that yet. So, one thing I want to explain too, before I pull this down, when I bring this down, we're still going to have bees coming and going up to this spot. The foragers that are out right now they have the habit, the orientation habit, to come back to this spot. But once I put all of these frames with the queen into this box down here on the ground, all of these foragers by the end of today will have reoriented themselves on the pheromone of their queen. Everyone will find their way down here, and I'll guarantee you that by tonight there won't be a single bee up here. That way I can come back tonight or tomorrow morning and relocate this colony to its permanent location. This has some decent weight, but it's probably mostly the trap itself. So I'm going to bring this around, put it in a nice convenient spot for me to work, and pop this lid and start transferring the frames. All right, here we go. This is always cool because you don't really know what you're going to find yet till you get them open. Oh boy. Guess what? Apparently I set this up just to hang out of the way. I didn't put any frames in it. So here's what we have. We've got a wild nest. What a surprise and what a mess. Oh boy. So, that was a goof on my part, not putting frames in there. But I didn't set that trap up to catch anything. I was just hanging it out of my way, and I forgot all about it not having frames. So let's go ahead and adapt to the situation and decide what we're going to do. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to bump it up against this next frame. I wonder how close that is. I don't know. Anyways, now I'm going to push this frame in. And now I'm going to put this frame in. And I still have room for one more. So we're going to use this one. It's a nice example of comb. I'm going to put that right there. That's a homemade frame, so it's a little tight. And now we're going to put this hive cover over the whole thing. Let's see how we're going to do this. We could do it this way, and then something over the back here. This is one of the covers to my three-way mating nukes. So this is the first time having to deal with something like this to me. We've still got bees inside here. As you can tell, quite a few. And I don't know if the queen is in here or if she's in that cluster of comb that we put in the box. So, I'll show you how I'm going to deal with this real easy. Oh, and by the way, here's all the foragers returning. So they're going to gather on this for quite a while. They're going to be confused, but eventually they'll smell mama down here on the ground. And like I said, by this evening everyone will be orienting on this mess of a hive that I created. Alright, here we go. Here's how we're going to deal with this. So far the temperament of these bees has been quite nice, but because I need to bump them, I'm going to put this veil on just in case. Mostly because I didn't light a smoker. Alright, now we're going to bump these bees down to the side, and then we're going to dump them right in front. And then all the bees that are left inside, I just do a real quick visual check for the queen. If she's there, I catch her, put her in the box. I don't see her, so instead, I'm going to grab an old follower board, put it right here, and let them climb up this thing right into the box. Now, a lot of bees, when I bumped them, took to the air to go back to where they're used to going. But also, a large majority of them stayed there on the ground. And if I had a smoker lid, I would puff them just a little bit to encourage them to start moving. This would be a great time to look for the queen as well, and to grab her by her wings and put her in the box. But because of the way they're moving, they're all slowly working towards the colony. I'm willing to bet she's not in this cluster, that she's already in the cluster of wild comb that we just transferred into this deep. All right, so what am I gonna do now? Well, we found ourselves in an unexpected situation, not having comb any frames at all in that swarm trap. Wow, that was a first time. I hope you guys learned from that. Second, I can just sit here and watch these girls, you know, take my time enjoying this experience and just, you know, casually look for the queen as they're doing it. Once these bees get closer to the entrance, they'll start fanning that Nasanov pheromone. These bees up here on the wall will eventually figure it out too. But I'm pretty much done till tonight. Now it's all up to the bees to figure it out. That's something that my mentor in Florida would say often. In certain circumstances, there was just things past the point of the beekeeper's control. He said the bees will figure it out. And it's true because they always do. Another way I could deal with the bees up here on the wall is to smoke it, but it's just not necessary. I've already got bees coming down around my head here, finding their way around the corner. But I'd say there's a couple hundred up there returning home with bellies full of nectar. See, here we go. This is working great. We don't have to do anything, force anything. Just set them up the way we know bees work. Look at them march right up that follower board. Over here, I've already got bees going inside. Something I want to point out while we watch the girls here is, remember I was telling you I don't like to keep bees in a swarm trap too long because they'll start to build comb, get heavy. Well, all that comb that you saw they built up on the underside of that swarm trap cover, that was all fresh. They built that in 5 days. Now, just imagine had I put frames in there, they would have filled those frames real quick and we would have done it the right way. But this is going to be an interesting experience because now they got to move side to side into the frames I've given them. I don't know what I'm going to do with this colony in the long run, but eventually adding a box to the top of this, or under this actually, because this has to stay on top, and letting them move down into that box, even putting a queen excluder between them, I could, let's think of this out loud. Let's say I did put another box under them. I could shake all the bees out of this cluster into the bottom box. Keep this as it is, put a queen excluder over the bottom box, because now the queen has been shaken down into that bottom. Put this box back on top, because no doubt there's brood in there, but the nurse bees will move up through the excluder, they'll take care of the brood, but the queen won't be able to go up there and lay anymore. She'll start laying in that bottom box. And then eventually, within a full brood cycle of that move, all the brood will be emerged out of these cells. The colony will start backfilling the brood nest, the wild comb brood nest, with honey, and then I could eventually come along, scrape that, and do a crush and strain method. Harvest that honey, put it into jars, get rid of that comb, fill in with empty frames, and then have them ready for winter time later in the year. See how they're crawling up here, already going in that hole. These girls up here are fanning. So no doubt we've got the queen. Well, this definitely didn't go as expected, and I think that's great. That's what makes for a good video and experience. When things don't go right, but you figure out what to do with what you have. That happens a lot in life. Sometimes I enjoy it, sometimes not so much. But I thank you guys for joining me today and catching this swarm, or rehousing it, transferring it, because it was definitely unique. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hive Doctor out.